how to hand color an image back in the day, well before we had computers and digital cameras, and before we even had color film. Artists and photographers would hand color black and white images. So they would take those black and white images and paint on them to add a little bit of color and pop. Well, we're going to go back in history and we're going to take a photo of your choosing. And if it isn't already in black and white, we'll go ahead and convert it into black and white. So we'll take this photo of the chili peppers and we will start by changing this to black and white. And you can adjust these if you want, but we'll leave them as is for right now. And then we're going to add a few layers. So I'm going to add 4 layers, one for each person. And we're going to choose different colors for each person. And you can label these. Sometimes it makes it a little bit easier so you know what you're doing. So let's say we'll call this one red and so on. I'm not going to label them all for time, but I'm going to click on my paintbrush tool and I have red already selected, so we're just going to go ahead and paint in flea right here. And I'm going to do this really pretty quick. And Command plus to zoom in, space bar to drag your photo around, position it where you want. So we're just going to kind of do this here, space bar, drag it up. And you can always change the size by right clicking, make this a little smaller and maybe a little softer brush right kind of in the middle there. And so we're just going to do this. And now we have flea selected red. And we're going to come over here and where it says normal, we're going to change that and let's go up to where we can see a little better. And if you just hover over them, you'll get a little bit of a preview. And so we can kind of see what we got going on here and see which we like best. So I'm going to go kind of like the overlay. I can see I missed a spot. And if your color is too dark, you can always reduce the color and make it not quite as bright, but I'm going to leave it fairly punchy. And then all these mistakes I made, I can always add a layer mask, put that on there, and remember we got black and white. Black reveals, white conceals, and so then I can come around in here and just kind of clean things up. Remember, if I go too far, whoops, I can press the X to switch these back and forth, or these arrows will switch them, give me the white, and I can paint that red right back in. And so I usually just have my finger on the X as I'm going through here, spacebar to move, and we'll just kind of clean that up real quick. So you kind of get the idea, right? So let's go over to our next layer, and I'm not going to name it, but I'm going to go with a green, bright green. I like that color right there. And this time I'm going to use my object selection tool. I'm going to click on him and we'll see what Photoshop does. Give it a minute to think, use its AI, Adobe Sensei, and ooh, it selected everything. That did not work the way I wanted it to. Oh, that's because I'm on plus maybe. So we're gonna just try to select. Oh, you know why? We're not on the background. That's the problem. Make sure we're on the background. So let's try that again. We're gonna click on him. And there we go. Look, it selected him. And so that's selected. We're going to go up here. We've got our paintbrush. Click on that. And now, you know what? Let's just fill it. Boom. Just like that. Done. So now I can again adjust this. And what did we do last time? I think it was overlay. So I'm going to stick with overlay. I'm going to reduce the opacity just a little bit on this one also. And I probably don't have to do a whole lot of work on this one. So that might be an easier way for you to adjust the color. So play around with those. I'd go ahead and finish the rest, but in the interest of time, I won't do that. So hopefully this helps. When you're done, go ahead, save it both as a Photoshop file to retain all these layers and a JPEG. You'll submit the JPEG into Canvas when you're done and ask if you have any questions.